Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to learn about scopes in Julia. So first of all, I have taken this from one of the website. I'll be posting that thread in the description. It's related to JavaScript one website, and they have really given good example of like how this code block and function global is there. So we want to understand like what are scopes in Julia. What so scopes these are related to variables. So every variable has, sorry for that, every variable has some boundaries in which it lives. Now if the variable is a global, then it will live inside this global variable only. If it is function, then it will live inside the function, then block, and then code. So this is how variables in Julia are also applied. So let's see. So if you want to really understand so first of all, let's see what is global scope. So there are two scopes, I would say. One is global and one is local scope. So it helps us and local scope is also like divided into like soft scope and hard scope. So once there is good description on the Julia website which we can go through. Let us search here. Yeah, so here it is like good example of scopes in Julia. So if you see this table, this gives us very good like description. So if a variable is within bare module and bare module, which is like if we are using, for example, terminal or a module, like we have defined our own module, which we'll learn in another chapter, like how to create module and script end to end. But yeah, or like in Pluto, then this is how it is structured. They are global. So struct type has like local soft variable, and like they are also having like global variable. This is allowed within. And for example, for while loop, they have their own local variable, but it can also import from global and local. So this is how it is. For macro, it is local and it is hard scope for macro, and it is allowed within global only. So this is like very good tabular like example. So it also says that Julia uses lexical scoping, means that a function scope does not inherit from caller scope, but from the scope in which the function was defined. This is very good because the scope of the function is different and we can reuse the same variable each time. So let's see how global variable is there and how local variable is there. So then we can, like for example, work on it. So first of all, let's go with local scope. So if I define the function, for example, so whenever the function is defined, then it introduces a new scope, which is a like hard scope for that. So if I do like this, now we have defined the function. Now if we see here, if I want to print z, so it will say undefined variable z is not defined, although we have defined this variable inside this one. So what is happening here is that this in this function block z is contained, so it is not moving out of here. So once again, like if you see, we have defined the function within this one and it is here only, and we are accessing variable at the global. So when we are accessing the variable println z, we are accessing at the global level. Now let us do, for example, if we do this one, we have run the function. I'll do control enter and let's see if we can print now. We still cannot print. If I print z, yeah. So even though we have done this one, it is not like having. So another thing is to do this way is that we are not returning as well. So once what we can do, we can return z. Let's see what happens. So once we have put return z, we are able to see that this function is returning here, but although we have put here, this still doesn't work because this function z is always contained within this function only. So this is one thing to understand. So whenever we are defining new function, then variables are always in that, it lives inside this function only. So we cannot like access it from outside. So this is one thing to remember. But other than that, like one thing we can do if you want to do, but this is not recommended. So if I do like this, println and z equals to f, we can create a new variable and then use the same. So if you see here, as soon as I did z equals to f, then this z variable got printed. But remember, please remember, this z and this z, whatever we are printing, they both are different. They both have their own scope. So to explain, there are two z's living here. And so yeah, so there are two z's living here. So one z is living at this one. Okay, I will use another color. And another z is living in this function scope. So these two scopes are different, and therefore these two z's are different. Now let's see how we can use the global scope. Let's go with the global scope. So in global scope, like if we want to define, we haven't discussed about module, but yeah, I'll just give example. Module is like, for example, you are writing main script and you want to import it in other. So we are creating two modules here. So like we are defining two variables in the module, which is A and B. Now, if you see here, if we right now try to access this one, it will not print. But however, if I print A dot A, then it should work, and a dot b, then it should also work. But it is not, a is not accessible directly. So what we have done, this module is exported outside, and from there a dot a and a dot b, we are getting the value. So we are accessing the variables from inside the module, and this is the right way to do it. So whenever we are defining any variable, so we should use this type of convention only, and we should access in this way. So while we can access the variable and we can read it externally, but we cannot change it. So if you see, below command, like what we can do, for example, if you see here, if I try to do a equals to 2, it will not work. So a dot a, what is a dot a? It is still 1 only. So this is how. So if you want to do, we have to change it within module only. So now if we print a dot a, it should become 2. Or like if I do 5, and let's see what happens here, it becomes 5. But if I print here a, it is still 2. So this a lives in the global scope, while this is coming from the module. So this is how we have to change if we want to change any of the variable. So one more thing we can do is that we can access the global variable directly. So if I do define here x equals to 4, now what we will do, foo of y equals to x plus y. We can directly use this way. So foo of, for example, 4. Now let's see what happens. 8, because 4 and 4, 8. Or if I do 10, so this also results in 14. So it is adding, but this is not recommended. So please try to like if we want to do like foo, uh, good foo, I'll define this x comma y and then use it like this. So this is the right way to do it, because it will not lead to buggy code. So if we want to define, we can directly x comma and then we can use 10 and then it should work. So this is good way, and please use it in this way. There is one reason, because it is that whenever like we are using global variable, then it needs to like compile it every time and read the data. So it leads to like some performance issues as well. So which is recommended in, like for example, on Julia website as well, why we should not use it. Maybe you can go and try the example, then it should be helpful for you. But from my like suggestion is always use variables with When you are defining a function, isolate that function. Don't use global variables in the function, just use the local variables only. Thank you. So this is for today. In next chapter, we'll learn more things about Julia.